What is up, and welcome back to 24 Minutes of A24, the podcast that looks at the A24 library 24 minutes at a time. I'm Ethan Simi.
And I'm Ben Lawhorn. This week on the pod, it's the same as it's ever been. We are not making any sense, and we're talking about Stop Making Sense, the 4K IMAX re-release of the famed 1984 Talking Heads concert.
Considered by critics as the greatest concert film of all time. That is, we will discuss this, Ben. That is a large claim there. The live performance was shot over the course of 3 nights at Hollywood's Pantages Theater in December of 1983 and features the Talking Heads' most memorable songs. Of course, as always, just a note before we dive into the pod here, this podcast was recorded and created during the 2023 WGA and SAG-AFTRA strikes. Without the labor of the writers and the actors that are currently on strike, the movies being covered here would not exist. Asterisk to that, very incredibly exciting news is that just a few days ago, news broke that the WGA has reached a tentative deal with the AMPTP, and the strike officially ends here in like 4 hours when we are recording. So it'll end Wednesday, September 29th at 12:01 a.m. Voting on the ratification of the deal will take place over the next several weeks, but writers are allowed to work during this period, and the strike is essentially officially over for the writers. After 148 days, they got what they wanted, and they got what they deserved, and that's super, super exciting. Ben, do you have any insights, thoughts, anything to share about the WGA strike coming to a close?
I'm just happy. It sounds like they're pretty happy with what they got as well, which is good. You know, they're satisfied with the result here. I know a lot of it was based around the AI stuff and, you know, how much of it you can use and all that kind of stuff. So I'm just stoked that they are stoked on what's happening. So congrats.
Yes. I'm super excited for them, and they totally deserve it. And next is SAG-AFTRA. They need their deal. They're going to get their deal for sure. So that's really exciting. This will be the final podcast that is produced and recorded during the WGA strike of 2023. So that's very exciting. We are talking about Stop Making Sense today, but we have some housekeeping, as per usual, to talk about before we talk about Stop Making Sense, a movie that both of us have been greatly looking forward to. And we've, actually shared a little bit of thoughts off mic, which is very unusual for us. And it's kind of an unusual movie. It's not really spoilable. It's not really anything standard. So we're going to get into all of that. First mode of housekeeping here is the first trailer for The Curse releases tomorrow. Now, this is a new show starring Nathan Fielder, Emma Stone, and fucking Benny Safdie. The series follows a curse that disturbs a newly married couple as they try to conceive a child while co-starring on their new HGTV show. This show is actually premiering at the New York Film Festival in next week, I believe, in the next couple of weeks, so that's super exciting. Speaking of New York Film Festival, we'll talk about me going, which was really fun. Where are you at on The Curse? Are you excited for the trailer? Of course, it's unfortunate we couldn't see the trailer and then record the pod, but we'll give our reaction next week.
Yeah, I'm super stoked. I can't think of a thing that I've seen with these 3 people that I didn't like where they were involved, right. So it's just like track record is pretty solid here. I'm always ready for more Nathan Fielder. Emma Stone is hilarious, and Benny Safdie is he's fantastic. So I'm super excited about this. I'm aware that he was an Oppenheimer. And I think he was one of the best parts of it.
Thank you very much. Gosh. You really just took my breath away there. I feel so elated right now that you recognize that. I'll give watchers of the pod on YouTube or Spotify a little treat. This is what Benny Safdie looks like in this show. Yeah. And it's incredibly unhinged and phenomenal. It's fantastic.
That belt buckle.
The belt buckle. He's got like a leather wrist bracelet on, ringed up, incredible wig. Yeah. Super exciting. So yeah, I think this is going to be a great project. I've heard lots of buzz about it. Obviously, it's not out yet. It hasn't premiered. We are going to definitely cover it here on the show. We're both excited. Emma Stone really having herself a 2023, which is so wonderful for him. Her really, really cool. Other piece of news, and this is a big one. This is a big one for A24. It just broke actually a few hours ago. A24 is reportedly leading the bidding against Miramax for the TV rights for the Halloween franchise. Now, before I go any further, I feel like that's a lot to take in initially. Like that's like, wow, a lot of things are happening in that statement. What did you think when you read that for the first time?
I was just kind of curious what they're going to do with this. Are we doing like a fresh reboot? Are we getting a new Michael Myers? Like, how do we pick up here? I didn't anticipate, because I mean, A24 has introduced things that have become, you know, traditional horror now, like things that we love, you know, Hereditary, Midsommar, all that stuff. But Halloween is just like classic horror, and it's just interesting to see them kind of tied together. I'm just excited to see what they do. Obviously, if A24 ends up getting bidding more done.
This is kind of something that we've been talking about a little bit over on our Patreon, is when we talk about a movie, we always ask, like, do we think it would be part of the A24 catalog? And I know over there we've been saying, we've been covering a couple anime films that have inspired the creator, which is what we're covering in a couple of weeks, and AI movies, and anime has been the big one where we're like, when is A24 going to get into anime?
Yeah,
like that just seems like something that they are due to get into, to do. Obviously, we've got Dix the Musical coming out in a couple of weeks. That's their first musical. I think it's really interesting that they are going this like IP route. I think I've said it a couple times now on the show, but I really truly think that starting last year, after Everything Everywhere cleaned up at the Oscars, I think that was like the official, okay, the door is open for the new phase of A24. We are not a mom and pop studio anymore. We don't just make horror movies that are really scary, or we don't just make one movie a year that's like, you know, it becomes movie lore and lots of people attach themselves and it really becomes part of the canon. They are now really growing and really branching out. They already have the rights to the TV shows for Friday the 13th. This news came out a few months ago. They're creating a show for Peacock called Crystal Lake. So now they're also bidding for the Halloween ones. Like you said, I don't know if it's going to be a hard reboot. I don't know what we're looking at here in terms of like story or anything. The movie rights are kind of a separate deal that's like structured differently with the parent companies. So it's the TV rights that are on the table between A24 and Miramax. And I truthfully, I guess personally, I think this is a pretty savvy business move from A24, because if they can own two of the most famed, the most illustrious, the most historical pieces of horror IP that every single person basically knows, and they have the rights to do with whatever they want with that, I think they're in a good place. I feel positive, but on the flip side, we also got The Idol last year. Or this year.
Keep Sam Levinson away from Halloween.
Yeah, don't tell Sam Levinson the WGA has breached a contract. Please keep him out of this. So their track record is not unblemished. I'm not saying they're perfect, but I am saying I think that they're in a good place, and I think whatever they try to do with this should be positive. But how is A24 going to manage like a pre-existing IP?
Yeah,
I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, there's so many funny ways to think about it. You know, put Laurie Strode in Euphoria High School, you know, if that's like what's going on here. But yeah, pre-existing IP. Yeah, that's my biggest question is like, are we picking up after something, or are we creating the myth and the origin of Michael Myers, which I think would be cool. Like the mystery behind him is obviously like such a draw to that series. So I wouldn't necessarily want something that's completely about him. I think we get a lot of weird TV shows now, like Pennyworth, the story of Batman's butler. It's like, all right, we don't need to do all of this, you know. But I don't know. I've never thought about these kind of things as TV series, so it'll be interesting to see what they come up with.
Yeah, I think A24 is just in a new space. I'll share something with you. I've never seen a single Halloween film, and I've never seen a single Friday the 13th project ever.
Wow.
So my affinity with Michael Myers is like, hey, if A24 is going to own the TV rights, there I am. That's my new Friday or my new Halloween. I will join in at that stage, I guess. I've just never I just have never found it necessary to like venture into these massive IP black holes that have like so many entries. And I know the whole thing with like Halloween Ends was like, it was the final one, but it was like part of a trilogy from a certain director that wasn't chronological. And like, it seemed like just honestly too much work to get involved with that story.
Yeah, there's like, you would need that Charlie Day, diagram thing of just like, no, there's this one, and then it goes over here, and then Rob Zombie did his own, but they're not canon at all, and then we have this. Like, it's kind of crazy, but the first original Halloween is like pretty much a perfect movie. Like, it's really, really good. So I would just watch that and you'd be fine. It's good. The last three that came out as told by Jason Blum, because they're all Blumhouse movies, those are the only like canon sequels to the first movie. So we jumped from like 1978 or something to 2018.
Oh, that's incredibly confusing.
Yeah, it's kind of weird.
Terrible.
It's like, oh, now he's older. So I don't know. They're decent movies. Those got worse as they went along. The second one was just atrocious in my mind, but the first one wasn't too bad. But yeah, I would suggest watching that first one. If any of our listeners here want us to cover Halloween, let us know.
Yeah.
I'm going to watch it again regardless. It's a staple. So I want you to see it. My hot take is that I don't like Friday the 13th. I think it's a dumb movie. So
wow. Okay.
Yeah, I don't love Friday the 13th at all.
This is terrible. I can't believe I'm going to say this on mic, but Friday the 13th is Michael Myers is Halloween. Is it Jason?
Yeah, that's Jason, and then Freddy Krueger is Nightmare on Elm Street.
Right. Okay. So
which is good.
Last Halloween, Molly and I watched A Nightmare on Elm Street, and that was like, we just watched the first one. That was our first introduction, and it was a night where we were like, okay, this is a Halloween classic, and we're dead in the middle of Halloween, and we have to do this. Like, I can't go any longer. I thought it was pretty good, actually. Like, I liked it. I thought it was pretty enjoyable. And probably, the scariest thing ever, a guy with knives for fingers that shows up in your dreams. That's pretty fucking scary.
Right? Yeah. You can't fall asleep or else he's going to get you. That's crazy. Yeah.
That to me, is far scarier than like Saw or anything. Like, I've been rewatching the Saw franchise in prep for Saw X, which I'm terribly excited for, by the way. But like, I turned on Saw 5 last night at like 11 p.m. and then just went right to bed. And I was just like unfazed. But if I watched Nightmare on Elm Street, I'm not going to sleep all night.
Yeah, no, that's very true.
Okay, so A24 making a Halloween television show, potentially, hopefully, maybe. We'll see what happens there. It sounds pretty promising. Okay, before we talk about Stop Making Sense, I did want to talk about my trip to the New York Film Festival, because I went to the New York Film Festival last week, and it was really fun, but it was really tiring. And I also saw some really important, at least one really important A24 project, and that was pretty cool.
Nice. I'm jealous of that.
Yeah, so it was a good time. So I went and I saw 7 movies over the course of 2 days. So I could only go for the first 2 press days. This was my first time going to a film festival, like, completely. And then my first time going as press, which was a wonderful, like, treat to be my first time. But I did have to fly across the country, and I did have to pay exorbitant hotel prices because I found out kind of last minute. So it was worth it. It was really good. I kicked off my festival, and Ben, I know you're very excited for me for this, because I forewent the very first movie that I could see, which was like a 3-hour, kind of like a Taiwanese film, I believe. And I had heard that it was just okay. I had heard that it was just fine. By people that had previously seen it. It wasn't a premiere or anything. So I was like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to cross off the bucket list. I'm going to fucking Oppenheimer in 70mm IMAX at the AMC Lincoln Square.
Living the dream.
Living the dream. Let me just tell you, my simple soul rests in that seat, because there were probably like at least 100 people in that showing at 10:30 a.m. on a Thursday. Beautiful day in New York City.
Yeah.
I would imagine people would be out. They'd be walking around doing cool stuff. People are just like, no, I'm gonna see Oppenheimer. And I was one of those people. And I don't mean to make it a bigger deal than it is, but like I said, I think I was kind of, my soul was brought forth to the gates of cinema heaven, and Oppenheimer let me in, and I just went away right there.
I like it.
That's pretty great, man.
Arguably the fourth best Christopher Nolan movie. Wait, where did it end up?
Okay,
I forget where we put it.
Where I put it, it's where you put it. Where you dropped it.
No, where I would have had it was 11. I don't remember where it ended up though.
Okay, but then you went dirty and you put Tenet at 11. You had an opportunity. You could have dropped Oppie at 11.
I mean, that's true.
You could have done
we'll redo it. We'll redo it.
Run it back. I do think it ended up at 4, which I think is a travesty. Anyway, excellent film. Then I saw a couple of other movies. All of this to say, I had a really good time. I was able to see All of Us Strangers, which comes out late December, starring Paul Mescal and Andrew Scott. That movie is now my 4th favorite movie of the year. It is incredible. It is absolutely devastating, hilarious. Claire Foy is so wonderful in that, and I wouldn't be surprised if things got a little deep on the Oscar ballot and Andrew Scott found his way to be like a dark horse pick. I think I just want to put that out into the universe while it's like 200 to 1 odds, and I want to come clean up on that when that happens. But I did get the chance to see a couple of other movies. I saw Anatomy of a Fall, which is a big one. Really good. A lot of people talking about it. It did premiere at other film festivals, and it was excellent. Wonderful movie. Cool. Great courtroom drama, which is always a big win. And the most important in terms of this podcast is The Zone of Interest. So I saw The Zone of Interest. This is Jonathan Glazer's new film. Comes out in the middle of December, I believe. So we've got a few months to go, at least. I'm not going to say a lot, obviously, because I don't want to spoil it. Mm-hmm. But Under the Skin was Jonathan Glazer's like last A24 film, I believe. Mm-hmm. And that is pretty like dark and sinister, and like there's a lot brewing beneath the surface of that. Take that idea and like that kind of like mood and amplify it by like 1,000, and you walk out of The Zone of Interest exceptionally stunned and fearful and depressed about watching basically a Nazi German family try to just live a normal life during the war. And they live next to Auschwitz. So
okay, that's
the movie. And that's kind of like, that's what's on IMDb. There's no trailer out for it yet or anything. There's a couple of stills. Sandra Hüller is in this movie. She's also the lead in Anatomy of a Fall. So that was pretty cool. But like all the pundits are saying, easily can see this going up for a couple of technical awards at the Oscars. Mm-hmm. Definitely a Best Picture nomination. It's one of those movies. And since I watched it, I've thought about it every day. Like, not as like, wow, that was a really fun movie to watch, but more like, how can someone figure out how to put that evil essence on screen so well? It's incredible. So The Zone of Interest, we're going to talk about it here on the show in December. Are you excited for The Zone of Interest? Like, where are you at on this? What do you know about it? Where does it land for you?
It's probably the thing that intrigues me the most on our calendar for the rest of the year. I'm probably looking forward most to Priscilla. Very excited about that.
Oh,
The Zone of Interest, I'm
wait.
just like, what is this about? Just from the stuff I've seen on Twitter. So I'm very much like intrigued and looking forward to covering it.
Yeah, I when I got out of it, I was like, man, I wonder what Ben is going to think. Like, I just wonder, because you would think after doing this podcast with you for like over 100 episodes that I would have you pegged down pretty good. You always manage to throw a curveball in something, and you're always like, guess what? Didn't like that movie, or like, guess what? Loved this movie. So I never know. So The Zone of Interest is excellent. I recommend everybody keep an eye out for it. Put it on your looking forward to list, whatever you have. Nice. And check that out. It'll definitely be a big A24 play at the Academy. Off the top of my head, like, I guess maybe other than Priscilla, I can't think of anything for A24 for this year. Am I missing like a big glaring film?
We got
the Academy?
For the Academy? I don't know.
For like the Academy Awards, right? Like, they had a huge Everything Everywhere play last year. Are they going all the way with The Zone of Interest here?
I mean, they might be. I don't know what the Iron Claw. I don't know if that's going to bring anything in. Dream Scenario. I mean, that trailer's fucking rad. Like, I would love Nick Cage got a actor nomination.
Yeah, that'd be sick. What'd you think of that trailer? We haven't talked about that trailer on the show.
I think it looks amazing. I'm so excited. It just looks super unhinged, and I think it's going to be great. And
it looks like Nick Cage is like showing up to just have a lot of fun.
Yeah,
and be an actor. Like he is ready to go.
Capital A.
I think that idea is really exciting.
Yeah,
of like he just gets overnight famous because he's in everybody's dreams.
So cool.
Doing different things to people and with people, and I has potential. Let's just say it's got potential. I'm excited. So yeah, I think Academy Awards wise, like it seems like the zone of interest. It seems like that's where A24 is going to put their eggs in their basket.
Yeah, probably.
And we'll see. I'm curious, like if and when the SAG-AFTRA strike ends, how that's going to shape up for other movies. Because right now the big thing is A24 has interim agreements with both SAG and WGA. So they're good. Like Priscilla is good to go on a press tour. They're locked and loaded. Jacob Elordi is going to New York Film Festival here in a couple of weeks when it shows there. Like they're doing the thing.
Yeah.
No other studio is doing that right now except Neon with a couple of things, I believe. So if that holds out, that's a good bid for A24. If it doesn't, I'm really curious what some of these press conferences start to look like, especially when you talk about, maybe Barbie going for something or something with a much more deep cast. So yeah, I'm curious. Okay. That was fun. A lot of news, a lot of cool stuff. Are you ready to talk about Stop Making Sense?
I am. I do have one last piece of housekeeping really quick.
Okay. If it's about Purple Rain, just don't put it on here.
Justice for Purple Rain.
God damn it.
I just need that to be on there. I need that to be on the record. So thank you.
Oh my gosh. No. Justice for Greece. Justice for Greece, because you guys turned the tables on me and I believed you. I fell into your trap for like 2 minutes and I was like, you know what? Danny Zuko, actually bad dude. Like maybe Greece isn't as good as I thought. And then I stepped away from the draft and I was like, absolutely not. Greece is incredible. You guys played me. Justice for Greece. Come on.
Oh.
Okay. Stop Making Sense. I want you to lead, Ben. What's your relationship with Talking Heads? What's your relationship to this movie? Had you seen it before? Where you at?
So yeah, I watched this maybe a couple years ago for the first time. Just threw it on a lazy Sunday out of nowhere. I'm just like, let's just check this out and see what it's all about. I like the Talking Heads, and I was just blown away. I was like, holy shit, this is so cool. This is crazy. I love it. Talking Heads, for the long time, my relationship with them, probably like a lot of people, was just burning down the house. There was kind of like their biggest hit or whatever. So that was like, oh, okay, that's who these guys are. And then there was a time, I don't know if you know this about me, but there was a time in my life when I used to be a DJ. And
I did not know that about you.
Yeah. And I was DJing a tattoo shop opening, and someone came up to me super drunk. He's like, I hate everything you're playing. It's like, all right, man. Like, I'm sorry to hear that, dude. Like, what do you want me to play? He's like, why don't you play something good like the fucking Talking Heads? I was like, okay, cool. I like it. Noted, bro. So he was escorted out because he was very, very drunk and just like doing too much. But that stuck with me forever. And I was like, all right, I'm going to get into this. I want to check out the Talking Heads.
I have so many questions. How long were you a DJ for?
A couple years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Do you go to DJ school? What's your formal training here? What do you
just do? At home with Serato, I bought like some turntables and just kind of try to teach myself.
2 turntables and a microphone?
2 turntables. Yep, exactly. Me and Beck.
Wow.
Yeah.
Hanging out, best buddies. Okay.
Yeah,
wow, dude,
good.
That's sick. So this interaction in particular, did this guy deter you at all? Did that hurt your soul where you're just like, maybe I'm not like a DJ?
Everyone's got different tastes. So it was just kind of like, and he was just so drunk, you know what I mean? Yeah. So it's just like, whatever, dude, you just want to like go home with some Talking Heads, which like I get now, you know what I mean? Yeah. Like that's cool. But we're just trying to keep it, I don't know, whatever I was going with at that time. So, but he wasn't digging it, but It was all right. And yeah, in the end, it's just like, all right, I want to check this stuff out then. I want to see, like
Yeah.
what stuff
What are you
could I
talking about?
play? Cause I really only know Burning Down the House. And it's like, I don't want to play that ever. So
Yeah, sure.
what else is there? So my career, I brought it to an end shortly after that. So I never got to work them into the mix or anything like that.
That's tough.
But I was able to like gain a love for the Talking Heads. So yeah, I don't know, again, like watched this concert for the first time a couple of years ago. And when I heard about this announcement, I was just so excited. I was like, I can't imagine seeing this on the big screen, something that I never thought would happen. So yeah, yeah, we'll get into it, but that's my relationship with.
Okay. That's awesome. That is a great relationship compared to what I have with the Talking Heads, which is nothing. I am probably one of the very few people, at least like in this sphere of like movies, pop culture, that like doesn't listen to the Talking Heads. Like I just did I don't listen to
It's all
them.
good. Yeah.
I remember when this was announced and when this trailer came out, you were fired up and you
Yeah.
told me about it, of course. And I had asked you like, okay, do I listen to the Talking Heads? Like, what do I do? Like before this, how can I prepare myself? Right?
Mhm.
Because I had thought this was like kind of a Taylor Swift like Eras Tour situation. Like if I'm going to the theater, I better know the songs because people are
Gotcha.
going to be dancing, people are going to be singing. It was not quite like that in my theater, which was kind of a relief to me because I
Mhm.
wasn't like singled out as the dude who didn't know the Talking Heads. But definitely, I was one of, if not the youngest person there for sure.
Nice.
And like you, I pretty much only knew Psycho Killer. That was
Mhm.
about it. And so I didn't listen to them. I didn't seek this movie out. Nothing. I just kind of like tried to forget that it existed until this came out. And this has been played at TIFF. It's been doing a lot of promos recently, and A24 has been retweeting, at least on Twitter, a lot of positive reception to this movie of like
Yeah.
people dancing the entire time, like being
Mhm.
up from their seats, singing, like really being an event situation. I had literally never heard of this movie before A24 announced it. Of course, they got the rights to it to remaster it in 4K, to re-release it on a screen, which, excellent business decision on their end
Yeah.
because I texted you when I went, and I went last night on a Monday night at a 7:30 show, which is, prime time for like dinner and a movie situation, but there's probably 60 or 70 people in my IMAX showing.
Nice.
IMAX tickets are not cheap. Like they're
Yeah.
not inexpensive. Like if you're going to see a movie in IMAX, you want to do that. That is why you go. So I was pretty impressed with that. And this concert being touted as like the best concert on screen ever, kind of a thing. I tried not to attach to that too much because I
Mhm.
didn't want to. I didn't want to be let down. I didn't want to be a little disappointed, and I wasn't. I heavily enjoyed this.
Nice.
This was incredible. The energy was so exciting. People started clapping and whistling and cheering like through when the songs would finish
Yeah.
in the theater, and I was like, oh, like this is what we're doing. This is so exciting. This is really cool. And I was like cheering and clapping like it ended, and people like stood up and were cheering, and it was really cool. Did people do that in your theater? Did you see it in IMAX as well?
Yeah, I think right
Okay.
now that's all you can see it in.
Only
I think
IMAX,
on
okay.
Friday it comes out wide release. So saw in IMAX. And I mean, people were like kind of dancing along to it. I couldn't see behind us because there was like a real big divide, but
Okay.
I know everyone was kind of like bopping in their seats, so to speak.
Oh, yeah.
In
Were you a
our
dancer?
section.
Did you get up and dance?
No, see, along with being a DJ, I was a drummer, which I
Yes,
think
I
you
knew
knew
this.
that about
Yeah.
me. And that's very specific. So like, I don't have to like move around while I keep a beat. I just like to sit
You
down
just
while I keep a
stay
beat.
there like a
Yeah.
statue.
Yeah. It's
Sure.
like, I don't want to be a guitarist who's out front, just like everyone's staring at you. It's like, nope, let me hide behind this drum set and just sit here. So no, I'm not a dancer to answer your question, but
Okay.
I was definitely a head nodder. And
Yeah.
yeah, I was, it was in my heart. I was dancing, but
That's what matters
dude,
most.
it was so fun though to see it. Like it was just a towering image. I was just blown away by it. Like I know we kind of text about it, but they better release some sort of physical version of this because I need it. I need it so bad.
I don't know why they would go to all the trouble to do a 4K restoration and own IMAX screens for a week and do this, right, and then not have a physical release at least. There were so many moments where I was just watching it, and since it was my very first time seeing it, I was kind of just like trying to intake it. I was just like trying to let it wash over me. I wasn't like trying to sing along to like the 2 songs that I knew, or I wasn't trying to like decipher, like the technicalities or anything of like what makes it so good. I was just trying to let it be and let it wash over me. And there were so many moments where I literally would say out loud, like, God damn, that looks so good. That looks so good. It's so crisp. It's so clear. That restoration is unbelievably well done. And like for that purpose alone, of course, seeing it on a massive IMAX screen, that is a huge technical feat, because on a screen that big, if you can make something look that good, where like I'm a little marveled, where I'm just like, wow, my God, this was filmed like 50 years ago. Like, how does it look so good?
Okay, 40 years ago. This came out the year I was born, so let's like pump the brakes.
Let's cool down a little bit on the time.
Years, all right.
Okay, 40 years ago. How does it look so good? And it looks phenomenal. And that was exciting. So you're a drummer. Forgive me, I don't know the drummer's name, but can we talk about his style for a second? Because my guy just pulled up to this concert in like a polo. He's just a polo. He's just rocking a polo, and then he's just like hanging out.
Change outfits halfway through, and he just throws another polo on. Right. It's like a different colored polo. Like, he's just like business casual, man. I loved it. I thought it was great.
Such a boss move, and really elite stuff from him.
Jerry Harrison, I think.
Okay.
Him. Oh no, Chris Franz is him. Jerry Harrison was the keyboards. Yeah.
Okay, good to know. Let's so this is directed by Jonathan Demme, who directed and produced The Silence of the Lambs, Philadelphia, The Manchurian Candidate, and Rachel Getting Married. Incredible director, arguably like one of the best of all time. I think people can kind of make the argument for. This is 88 minutes long, which I thought was quite honestly, I thought it was perfect, because the way that this movie and this concert flows is so intoxicating, and it's like so building that you start with David Byrne and like singing Psycho Killer with like a guitar, and then you gradually get more and more. You get more people, more instruments, more movement, more energy, more excitement, and then you end with I know it's a pretty popular song by them, but it's like really entrancing, where it's like I could probably just like sit here for like an hour and listen to this song just go on, and at no point did I ever think like, oh, this concert's gonna come to an end, like the concert's gotta come to a close. I was just like, this is incredible. Like, I just sit here, let me just sit here and just enjoy this show forever.
Yeah, it was so good. Yeah, that like the end, it's the song's called Cross-Eyed and Painless, and the way it just like builds like a 7 or 8 minute like song, it's so wonderful. But like you said, it's building. Like, we start out with this like shot of his feet as he's walking into the stage, and we see the empty stage. Like, we see everything behind the scenes. It's just bare and stripped down. It's like, oh, okay, wow, this is cool. And then, like you said, it's just like we bring in one member for every song until like we're at the 5th or 6th song, and finally everybody's there. It's like, oh shit, this is amazing. This is so cool to do it this way, and give everyone, kind of their time to shine at the beginning. The bass player, Tina, like her fucking outfits were so rad, and I loved her little dance moves and stuff like that. Kicking it off with Psycho Killer, just him on his own, I think was like the perfect way to do it. So I thought it was great.
There is, and you shared with me, so if anybody is listening that's gonna get mad, I put the blame on Ben for sure. I'm just an accessory here. There is like a YouTube playlist with videos of these songs, right? It's not the 4K remaster. They are all separate videos, so it's not the same thing. It's not the movie. But if you don't own a physical copy, or if you're like waiting for this to come out, this could be a good chance to seek it out. So if you're interested, or like if you're trying to replay some of it or like watch some of it again, that is how I went about it. I know you texted me today and you were like, you said you found it on YouTube and you're going to watch some of it again. I took your advice and I actually had lunch with one of my daughters this morning, just her and I at home. And I was like, we're gonna put on a concert and we're gonna watch it. And so we watched about the first 30 minutes, so probably the first 5 or 6 songs.
Nice.
And she loved it. She was like entranced. She was watching it. She was dancing, and I thought that was incredible. Like, I wish that I had been introduced to this when I was not almost 30 years old. Like when I was a kid and could kind of appreciate it and see it differently and like maybe grow with it, which I think is really cool. So I've kind of folded that in already to my family, and like it is absolutely a movie and a concert that I immediately thought like I just want to own this so I can just put it on kind of maybe all the time, like just whenever I don't know what to watch or whenever I want some talking heads in the house, like this is how I want that. And so I'm really excited for it to come out. Kate, I have a question for you. So the big suit, David Byrne's big suit, what's the history here? Is this, it doesn't have like a lore or like a mysticism to it? I don't get it. I just know it's a big suit.
There might be one, and I'm forgetting because he was recently on Conan O'Brien's podcast and they talked about it, and I'm watching the story, but he was like with friends and they were watching something on TV and there was like some sort of like oversized suit or something like that, like just like kind of the big shoulder pads of the 80s, you know. And he just had the idea because one of the friends, I believe, was like a seamstress or tailor. He's like, "Oh, what if we just made it like huge, like just a really," and that was like, it was just that simple. Like that was the idea. It's like, what if I just had like a really big suit? It's just like,
so
and
funny.
it's crazy because stuff like this, that like, I mean, this is on all the posters, like the t-shirts they were selling, like this suit has become synonymous with this concert, but it's just something that started just so simply. It was just like, might be funny if I just came out and had like a really big suit on, and that's it, you know. And then like we get those other songs where he's taking the jacket off, but he still has the big pants on.
I was gonna
like,
say that's so funny.
It's pretty classic. So yeah, I do enjoy that aspect of this, that costume change that they all do. Because he starts out like in a regular suit, and then ditches the jacket, and you can just like see they're getting hotter and hotter, and then there's like probably like an intermission or something. And then they all come back in. It's just like, oh, the suit is fucking, that's so cool. And his dance moves are just so sporadic and crazy. Did you see that clip going around of him practicing his dance moves?
I did. Yeah. Incredible stuff. I was
so
just like,
cool.
He is a fucking legend. It's insane what he went through to make this happen, and it delivers.
That's something that I really appreciated on the rewatch, was like all the choreography he had, like with like the backup singers, but even just with the other musicians, everything looked really organic, but it was obviously like choreographed and like designed to do that. But just like watching them like stare at each other and do their like big like leg movements back and forth, just mirroring each other. It's like, this is such a silly thing, but it works perfectly in this concert, in this context. So yeah, I love that about this, just like all this choreography, and that to me, this movie has energy. You know what I mean? Like there's just so much energy here. That other guitarist comes out. I don't remember his name, but like, I don't know if like what he was on, but he was just like amped the fuck up. You know what I mean? He came out ready to go. They do a couple songs where it's like, they're almost just like not doing jumping jacks, but like, almost like high kicks or something like that the entire time. And then like, they're still singing and playing and stuff. It's like, man, just, they're feeding off the crowd here. I think you could really feel that throughout this whole movie, which was just fantastic. Yeah,
the concert has the juice, as I would put it, for sure.
They do have the juice.
I didn't know that, I guess it's a little, I didn't think before seeing this of like, okay, this concert's choreographed. There's probably a lot that went into it. Like, David Byrne, like probably put a lot in on the back end to figure all this out. I just went into it and I was just like, it's a concert. Like how good can it be? And then I see a video like that where he's practicing in a house or in a room or whatever, and he's like doing the same things over and over again and like figuring out his choreography. And even now, just talking about it, where I'm just like, genius, absolutely mesmerizing, incredible that he pulled that off and can do that with so many people in such a lively stage and environment, and still make everything work and make everything feel so organic. I just thought I just thought he was just like walking around, just like playing music and having a really good time. And then it turns out like that was like his production, his art project. Like that's what he put into it.
Yeah.
And we got this masterpiece.
It's all so fluid and just like it goes off without a hitch. Even the stuff of like the crew bringing out those like risers and things like that, because they had it all timed perfectly for like each song. It's like, how many times did these guys practice this? You know, it's just like, nope, little slower, whatever. Cause everything is just like dialed into a T. And it was just like, it was beautiful to watch and just see on the IMAX screen. I loved that the Tom Club interlude that we get when he leaves, you know, and like the bass player and drummer, that's like their side band. And just like that little thing that we got with them, I thought was so fun. Just him yelling like James Brown, like over and over. It was so good. So, I don't know. We'll talk about some of our favorite moments, but this was just like, without exaggeration, I literally had a smile on my face the entire time. Like I was just so happy to be watching this. Like it was perfect.
Just literally Nicole Kidman in the AMC.
That was me,
the
honestly.
Whole time.
Yes, it really was.
Okay, speaking of favorite moments, we're doing this episode a little bit differently because it's not quite a movie. We can't really like roll through true cinema here. So we're just going to kind of talk about some of our favorite moments, and maybe a single favorite moment if we do have one. We do have an A1 act, and we'll give it a ranking and everything. But Ben, any favorite moments to start us off to call out?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, my favorite thing of the whole show was the first song with the entire band, Slippery People. It's like the 6th song, something like that. But it just, we've been building to this, and now everybody's out there. It's like all 9 members, all 8 members. And you just really hear it in the audience. You hear their energy, just like, I don't know, everyone's just like on cloud 9, it seems like. And you're on, you know, like, as like having played in a band, like you can only have so much energy like in practice and stuff. Like, okay, cool, we got that song down, whatever. But once you're in front of other people playing, it just like it naturally elevates. And I just felt like just seeing them all out there for the first time, it's just like my favorite part of the whole thing. It's pretty early on, but I love it.
Yeah. I think that is a special moment for sure, because like you said, you're really like building to that, and that's kind of the first time you get to see all of this. I think for me, one of my favorite moments is just the first song, Psycho Killer. Not necessarily because it's like one of the ones I knew, but I think even upon like rewatching some of it today, it is so, I just think it's so incredible. Like the way that he comes out and he's like, I got a tape that I want to play for you.
Yeah.
And it's just him. It's just him playing a song, and then he kind of like does the little like ditty at the end of it where he like loses control of his body, which I thought was incredible, and it's just so intoxicating to watch. I'm just like, I'm constantly like, what's he gonna do next? Like what is his body gonna do? What's his face gonna do? Where is he gonna go? Who's he gonna interact with? And I think it's a perfect way for this concert to kick off, because it's really so I think it's kind of a different vibe, obviously, than what you get to 80 minutes later down the road. Also want to call out the lamp dance.
Dude,
could you dance with a lamp like that, Ben?
Given the right substances, I'm sure I could pull it off. Yeah, I think I could. But I don't know that anyone could pull off what Byrne did, you know, because again, like it's this choreographed thing that's just made to look so natural and organic, and just like, oh, he's just coming up with this, you know. It's like, no, he's been practicing this, but he's making it look perfect. I'm glad you brought that up, because that was something I wanted to talk about as well, because I just think like that's such a the big suit is one thing, but the lamp dance is like, to me, that brought in these moments of like where Jonathan Demme really shines.
Yeah.
You know, pun not intended, but like we get to all these light things, you know, like the way the light is hitting all the band members and just shining up on like the back cast, you know, the backdrop. And it's just like, it's so cool to see. And so much of this stuff, as I'm watching, is like, was this like a Demme call or was this a Byrne call? Like, what was the collaboration here like? Because Byrne doesn't seem like a guy who like gives up a lot of creative control. It feels like he has a vision, you know?
Yeah.
But I also can't imagine Jonathan Demme just like doing something that people tell him to do, you know? He's got some some influence here. So I think whatever it was, this marriage between the two of them, I think worked out perfectly.
Yeah, definitely agree. There are so many moments like that, and I think one for me that I assume it was a demi call because it's like an editing kind of cut.
Mm.
This was going around Twitter a few weeks ago when like the first screenings were taking place. I didn't watch it because I didn't want to spoil any of this for myself. Like I didn't want to watch like 90 seconds out of context, and people were like, "This is the greatest concert transition of all time," and I was just like, I don't want to keep myself clean from that. But now that I've seen it on the big screen, I can attest it is absolutely flabbergasting what happened. So I don't know what song it is. You'll have to forgive me and help me out, but it is when he's like doing the chopping of like Same As It Ever Was, and he's like chopping like on his forearms. And then he ends up getting low, and then we have this moment where there's this big switch in the song, and we go from just focus on him to a side shot of him and his body like bending backwards.
Yeah.
And then him like singing so powerfully after that. And I saw that and I was just like, oh my God. Like that was so incredible. What I just witnessed, and I wasn't expecting it. I wasn't ready for it. And I was just completely washed over in this moment of like, this is a movie. This is like absolutely a perfect film.
Yeah. No, that is so good. I think that was from Once in a Lifetime. I think that's that song.
Okay.
But I think he also in that one does where he hits himself in the forehead.
Yeah, he slaps himself a bunch. That's like right beforehand. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so good. And just some of the decisions that he makes. I forget what song it is, but there's the one where he just like is running laps around everybody.
Around the
He's
drum
like, I'm just
set.
gonna like take a lap. I'm just gonna go run right now. It's like, this is crazy, dude. Like you guys have been playing this show for how long? And you're just like, I'm just gonna go run right now.
Run right now.
Yeah, I just loved you said it earlier, but it's like you didn't know what he was going to do next.
Yep.
And that's kind of what's so exciting and keeps you focused on what's happening. Where it's like, I got to know where are we going here after this.
I think a really neat moment for me as well is at the very end. And I know I said I like the very beginning as well. But the very end, there's just something special about the way that he like exits, the way that he chooses to close it off, because it feels so transcendent. You said like we're going on for like 8 or 9 minutes in this song. We're repeating the same verses. We're kind of locking into this like very hypnotic performance and energy that we're getting into. He introduces his band members by name, and then he was just like, that's it, I gotta go. See you later. And he just like he just takes off, and he just like goes away, and his band kind of wraps things up in the next like 20 or 30 seconds, and that's the movie. And I thought that was really interesting. And like I said, I don't have a lot of personal history with the Talking Heads. Like I don't know really their lyrics or their message. I just know they're kind of a band that's like, our lives kind of suck kind of a thing. And like life is just always going to be bad. And that was such an interesting decision for me, for them to end it like that, because it feels like this energy can just continue. We can just, it's just going to go on forever and ever. Even if David Byrne has walked off the stage, even if the movie has ended, it felt like a soft continuation. And I guess I really appreciated that. And I thought that was a really neat way to end the show.
Yeah, 100%. I love that he gave credit to the crew as well and brought them out and let them do their thing. But yeah, it was a great ending. It's like, cool, I'm just gonna slip out real quick. You guys keep the party going. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's like feel free to like, it's like a host who's like, I'm gonna go to bed. Like you guys can stay here as long as you want, but like I'm out of here now. So
it was a polar opposite of Tom Wamsgans, if you will. It was very anti-Tom.
yes, 100%. But I
Get
loved
out of
it.
my house.
I thought it was a great ending. And yeah, I don't know. It's so good.
Do you have a single favorite moment that you want to like put on the record as your favorite moment of this concert, or is there too many to choose from?
There's a ton, but if I had to pick one song, it is Slippery People. It's just like it's the first time the whole band comes out and their energy just like coalesces. Everything just comes together, and it's like, all right, guys, like here we go. Like, we're all here. It's time to do the show, and let's get through these next like 15 songs. Let's give these people a show. I mean, at a regular concert, you're amped up, but like knowing you're being filmed, it's like you want this to be captured perfectly. And I just think their energy, it's my favorite right there, because it's like they're just starting out and getting it going.
Where where to put the camera and what to capture at certain moments is so smart from Demi.
Yeah.
Like, it fully encompasses everything about the concert and the energy especially. I think if it is, I think it's Once in a Lifetime, I think would probably be my favorite song, my favorite moment, if that is like where he kind of does that the dance and we get that really incredible cut. I think there's really exciting stuff. So like, I'm genuinely very hyped to own this when it comes out. Whenever we get a physical copy, whenever it comes out on digital, I would assume it is going to regular theaters. This pod will drop on Friday, so it'll go to regular theaters on that Friday. I would guess it's probably going to play for a couple more weeks. If you can, highly recommend going to see this. It is 100% one of those things where it's like, you don't want to miss out on this experience. Like, this will probably never be in theaters again. I would.
Yeah, I can't imagine.
I mean, I wouldn't think so. So missing the one opportunity, especially if you see it on IMAX, that's the way to go. But if you can see it on a big screen, it's really a neat thing. Really cool movie. Do you want to do A1 Acts here?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, we've got concert movies, of course, because this is one of the best. Can I ask you before we do this? Do you think this is the best concert movie of all time?
So you want my A1 act before we get into A1X? Is that what you're saying?
I'm just trying to know a little bit here.
I don't think I've seen a better concert movie than this.
Okay.
I've seen some that I love. There are some that I've watched more than this for sure. Like my favorite band is Incubus. They have a show they did at Red Rocks, and it's just like, I've, without exaggeration, probably watched that at least 50 times, if not more. Like, I love it, but
I did not put it on my list. I'm really sorry.
It's all good. It's all good. I had to sneak it in there, but there's some stuff I haven't seen, kind of like we're going over some sort of Scorsese stuff, and like Last Waltz and Shine a Light. It's like, I feel like those are probably going to be really good. Song Remains the Same is a great Led Zeppelin one, but this to me is just like, it's the pinnacle of a concert movie.
I haven't seen enough, or maybe like really any other concert movies, to be honest. So yeah, Stop Making Sense. We've got Bullet in a Bible, which is Green Day. Sign of the Times, which is your beloved Prince. Shine a Light, The Rolling Stones, directed by Scorsese. Live at Pompeii, which is Pink Floyd. Gimme Shelter, the Rolling Stones 1969 tour, which apparently is a big deal. Ended in like a big brouhaha and a couple of injuries. Is that correct? Do you know?
Sounds accurate, yeah.
Yeah. Pretty wild, so that sounds good. Rattle and Hum, which is U2. Woodstock, of course, is Woodstock. The Song Remains the Same, Led Zeppelin. And then The Last Waltz, that's the band, and that is directed by Scorsese as well. I haven't seen any of those. The only other concert movie I have seen is Live at Shea Stadium, which is Billy Joel, and that's great. That is a pretty like pure and authentic.
On a great show.
He puts on an incredible show. I've seen him at Madison Square Garden, and it's pretty immaculate. Like, if you get the chance, I highly recommend it. That's good. Like, I wouldn't say it's great. Like, it's not Stop Making Sense level. It's 1,000,000% like, I want something on the TV and I want to listen to Billy Joel. So like, let's just put that on.
Yeah.
It's nothing where I would ever be like, I have a free night, I'm going to sit down and watch Live at Shea Stadium. Stop Making Sense, on the other hand, is like, yo, I have like a little over an hour and I kind of want to listen. Like, I want to see a really good concert. This is it every single time. I think for my very limited pool, this is definitely the best movie, like concert movie of all time.
Yeah.
And what I thought was so great about it too is that it's a pure concert. There's no like interludes with people. There's no like documentary style. There's no interviews. There's no nothing. It is a strict like front to back. This is a concert, and this is what you get, which I thought was great. A24 Ranking. This is now part of the A24 library.
Before we hear back from people, the one that I would put up there possibly is Beyonce's performance at Coachella. It was amazing. Wow. It's really, really, really good. It has one of the best, speaking of really good edits.
Yeah.
It has just one of the best edits I've ever seen in a concert. It's amazing. So before we get all the hate mail, I want to make sure the Beehive knows that we recognize her performance at Coachella.
She is Queen Bee for a reason. She is. Of course. Where can you watch that somewhere? Is that like streaming?
I thought it was on Netflix, but I don't know for sure.
Okay. I've never watched it, so I'm really curious. I want to ask you, since you bring this up, since you talk about Beyonce, Taylor Swift Eras Tour comes out in a few weeks. Are you planning on seeing it? Where are you at on Taylor Swift?
I mean, I'm pro Taylor Swift, but I'm not I'm not caught up in all this hype. You know what I mean? Like,
you're not going to go do like friendship bracelets at the theater.
No, I mean, I know some people that I work with have gone to the concerts and they just said it's amazing, which is super cool. But
I cried. I cried at the concert, Ben. I don't even listen to Taylor Swift.
You got to see Haim open for her, which I'm jealous of.
My God.
I love Haim. So
Alana Haim just playing a guitar. I mean, look, you talk about like things that are instant sex appeal. That's top of the list.
Yeah.
It's unreplicable.
Yeah. She's the best. Love bass face too. Yeah. And just to clarify, Homecoming, a film by Beyonce, is on Netflix. So feel free to throw that on.
Wow. I got to watch that. I got to report back for sure. I don't think I'll go see the Eras Tour in theaters. I think I'm a little, if I could go with Molly, I would. It's very difficult for us to go to a movie together and arrange childcare and do all of these things, let alone go see a 2-hour and 40-minute film together. So
you guys saw live.
Right. It's kind of off the table, but we did see it live. And someone did propose right in front of us to Romeo and Juliet, and that was like pretty cool. So yeah, excellent show. I'm sure it's going to clean up at the box office. I heard Stop Making Sense has done good business so far at the box office, so that's really exciting. So it's a big couple of months for concert movies at the theaters.
Yeah.
But let's do A24 rankings. So this is now part of the A24 library. A24 has remastered it and released it, and I think it's interesting. I always have a tough time putting something like this up against like a Midsommar or like up against like The Last Black Man in San Francisco. Like how they're not apples to apples. Like how do you determine where this falls in a ranking? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think this falls, to me, it becomes the rewatchability factor. And it's just like, how soon could I rewatch it? And apparently it's like within 4 days, because that's what I did, So for me, that's where it's like, or just like you talked about the zone of interest. It's like, how much are you thinking about it after you see it? That kind of a thing. So obviously you can't necessarily compare like the craft of like making Hereditary and then Stop Making Sense. That's like, again, apples to oranges kind of, but I think you can just like give the overall feeling on it, which like why for me, no one will be surprised that's listened to this whole episode, but it's an A+ 24. Like I want this. I want the physical copy of it. I want that 4K. It's perfect. It's a perfect experience.
I really regret not buying a t-shirt or buying apparel when they came out with it, because I just didn't know like what it was about. The odds are good with how things are going with A24, but I really hope they come out with like some more merch or like something cool, like a little David Byrne action figure or something. Yeah. Like give me something for this, because I will buy it now, because I need it. I'm with you. I don't know if I could do A+ 24 quite yet, just because it is my first experience, but it's a hard A24. Like rewatchability is really sky high. It's not long, which is always like a plus. I think it is a perfect length for this kind of medium and this kind of like material. David Byrne is electric and just incredibly gorgeous and very cool. Like I remember thinking during the movie, like, that's probably the coolest guy that's maybe ever like walked on a stage. I don't know if anybody can ever beat him.
Yeah.
And the way this is shot, everything that we've said, really wonderful of A24 to remaster this, to put it out, to put it in their library. I think is a really cool thing. So I hope we get more merch on it. I hope we get a physical copy for sure. And I'm sure this is not the last time that we'll talk about Stop Making Sense here on the show.
Yeah, without a doubt.
Absolutely. Okay. Any closing thoughts? Anything before I give the lead in for next week's episode?
Just Justice for Purple Rain.
That's not okay. I have to stop walking into these traps every single week. For 2 weeks in a row now. I'm going to cut you off. I'm going to be like, all right, that's...
Just edit it out of the episode.
Any closing thoughts? And you'll just be like, yeah. And then it'll just hard cut.
Next, yeah.
Like next week. Good idea. I'll just edit that out. Next week on the pod, it's spooky season, baby. We're back. October is upon us. So we are tackling the first of two. We're only going to do a couple spooky movies this year. We have a couple other things on the slate. We are going to tackle The Black Coat's Daughter. Now, this was a recommendation from someone on social media. We have not seen this. I don't know. Have you seen it?
No, I've never seen it. I never heard of it.
We haven't seen it. We haven't heard of it. Really exciting. So the two horror movies we're covering in October is going to be The Black Coat's Daughter. We're going to kick off with that. We're hoping to do Dix the Musical the week after. I know we've been teasing that for a while now. It's not in Portland next week. It's not in Salt Lake week. It appears that we're doing a very classic A24 slow rollout on that one.
I was going to say, we're only teasing because A24 is teasing. We just want to know when we're going to be able to see it, and we just keep having to push it back on our schedule. So hopefully sometime in October, we'll be able to cover it.
Fingers crossed. Yeah, we just follow the lead of A24. So that's on the slate. And then the other horror movie for the month of October is going to be In Fabric. Now, have you seen that movie?
No, it's another one I've never heard of.
Great. Another one that I also have not seen. I had heard of it. I don't know what it's about. I can't tell you off the top of my head. So that's pretty exciting. And then end of October, I don't know if we mentioned it here on the show. I kind of want to keep it a secret for a little bit longer.
Okay. I like that.
Okay. Yeah. We've got another collaborative ranking is what I will say. So we're kind of altering the schedule a little bit to do one collaborative ranking a month and kind of use that as a cap for the month and mix things up a little bit from A24, bring in some new guests, bring in some new projects. This one, it's a big one. So we'll get to it when we get to it.
I will say, if we had any detectives here, we have there's been mention of some things that might qualify for this draft. So, yeah. Yeah,
that's true. Yeah, we've alluded to it here and there. So we've got a really fun October coming, a couple of scary movies. Now, of course, if you're new to the show, you're probably asking, like, why aren't you doing Hereditary? Why aren't you doing Midsommar? And these very iconic horror films of A24. We did them, and we did them first because they are the best, and they are iconic. Yeah. So I don't think, or actually, I know we do not have YouTube videos of those. That's before we switched over to YouTube and video content, but they are out there on Spotify and Apple and anywhere you get the show. Mm-hmm. So if you want our take on those horror movies, go check them out. Big episode was The Witch. Go check out that episode. That's a heater.
Go check it out, indeed. Yeah, I was looking at it. It's like, Hereditary was 5 and Midsommar was 6. So that's
wow, like total, like episode number 5 and episode number
5,
6.
Episode 6. I'm trying to figure out when we did The Witch.
Wow.
When we lived deliciously. That was episode 58. It was last October. So yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So we've done them. We've put in the time. We'll probably do a revisit of The Witch probably next October would be my guess, because
I'm gonna be.
We
gone.
need that back.
That sucks.
Oh man, I'm busy that day.
I have a thing.
It's like Wet Hot American Summer. Oh my god, I watched that on the plane, and they're like, "Let's meet back 10 years from now at this day and this time," and he's like, "Oh, okay, yeah. Well, I've got something at that time."
Got a thing. Yeah, I love that. So good. So good.
So funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll get to it.
Yeah, we'll get around to it. Let us know what you guys thought about Stop Making Sense. If you're going to go see it in theaters, again, a big recommend from both of us. It's something to experience on the big screen for sure. So, and let us know what you thought about it. We're on Twitter and Instagram at 24 minutes of A24. Like Ethan said, we're also on YouTube. You can watch us talk about this stuff. And you can just see our beautiful faces each week. Like, why wouldn't you want to, you know?
Yeah.
And if you want to support us, we have a Patreon where we talk about movies that are not A24 movies. Talk about a slate. We've got slate. Do we want to hint at all, like what we've got coming up for the rest of the year?
Dude, I mean, I am at your discretion here, but I think it goes without saying what you just said, wow, what a slate. That's it. That's the money right there.
We're covering some huge directors that maybe have some big releases coming out this year.
That's a great tease. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you want to hear us talk about some of those movies, you can find us on Patreon, 24 Minutes of Not A24. But if you just want to watch us here, that's totally cool. We appreciate all the support. So thank you so much. Yeah. I am Ben Lawhorn.
And I am Ethan Simi. Bring break forever, bitches.